Welcome back, everybody. Episode 6 of the postseason pod. We're exactly 1 week into the season. Game started a week ago from this Tuesday, and it's been an exciting week thus far. I'm excited to get into a few upcoming news and upcoming matchups, as well as some quality performances from around the league from the past week. So, um, excited to talk with you all about it. And we're going to start it off with a little bit of a heartfelt conversation about the Columbus Blue Jackets home opener. So, um, yeah, Bryce, what do you think about what they're doing for Johnny tonight and
I
Matthew?
yeah, I mean, I think everyone, leading up to this, the horrific event, I think leading up to tonight, a lot has been done. We saw, is it what the Saddle Dome, right?
Yeah,
That's where, yeah.
Calgary, yeah.
Um, and in Ohio, the memorials for both of the brothers, and then we saw the Flyers bring over Guy Gaudreau, to skate. And just the praise and just the appreciation for two guys, especially Johnny, more known than Matthew, especially in the league, but two guys that didn't deserve what happened, obviously. Two guys that meant both that meant the world to BC, right? And then just the organizations that they've been with. We saw Cole Caulfield even change his number. EA Sports are keeping him in the game this year, which is a nice touch. But yeah, I mean, it's I think you can kind of understand the importance of the memorial, especially for those guys. And um, yeah, I mean, it's gonna be. I'm sure some tears will be in the building tonight, but otherwise, it's a classy move by the NHL and the Blue Jackets organization. But what do you think?
Yeah, agreed. We saw Dean Evison invited Goudreau's dad out to practice yesterday, and I believe he was at morning skate as well. And um, a few really inspiring efforts from the whole Blue Jackets group to start the season too, which is something you like to see. They're playing with a little bit of a, I don't want to say a burden, but it's almost just like a doing it for Johnny sort of thing. Yeah, like you said, two guys that would in a million years never deserve what happened to them. All the lives they touched, not just in the game of hockey, but outside of it as well. So I saw the Blue Jackets guys and a lot of people in the organization were wearing special Johnny hockey T-shirts,
Yeah.
which looked pretty cool, and a memorial hat with both Johnny and Maddie's number. And just it should be a night of celebration. Obviously, there's going to be mourning. But it should be a night where hopefully the Blue Jackets have a lot to play for. I know Dean Evison is going to, praise a good message at the start of the game that how important not only this game, but the games following this game at home will be. And it'll be, a close second to the Blue Jackets organization coming together and the fan base to celebrate two wonderful guys. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Should be a great night. Hopefully, the Blue Jackets can come out with a win. Um, on another note, with the Blue Jackets, some of their young guys look really good to start the season. Kent Johnson and Adam Fantilli have sort of looked like they can take a new step this season and sort of prove that they're NHL regulars. And maybe Johnson maybe 60 to 70 points regularly, and Fantilli probably 80 to 85 more regularly. So a lot to like if you're a Blue Jackets fan, and it should be a beautiful, beautiful celebration for the Goudreaus tonight.
100%, 100%.
You want to hit him with the goalie news up in Motor City?
Yeah, so Ville Husso about 2 days ago. I don't know when's that, the 12th? What's the no, the 11th,
That'll be the
13th,
13th. Today's the 15th.
13th,
Yeah.
thank you. The 13th, the Detroit put goaltender Ville Husso on waivers. I guess it's because of Cam Talbot's like 45 save shutout performance and their trust in their backup Alex Lyon, which who had a rough night versus the Rangers. I'm sure we'll get to that. But yeah, he went unclaimed and you know, went unclaimed. I mean
Back
that's
in
all you
Grand Rapids.
yeah, I mean that's all you could say. He
Yeah.
went from a good solid start with his St. Louis Blues and now he's back in Grand Rapids like so but yeah,
It's tough sledding for him.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we both talked in our previews about how we don't believe the three goalie system works. So maybe this sort of, I don't know, eases some pressures of the two guys they have up there to sort of find their game and play well. I mean, none of the goals that line really let up yesterday and the Rangers loss were, I mean, like his fault, if I'm being honest. I mean, Lafreniere's was a one timer that went 5 full. Like, what are you going to do? Um, I think Fox scored sort of around the net, maybe. If I'm remembering. No, that was against Utah. Sorry, Fox scored around the net. Um, but yeah, it was just um, he's been terrible. Honestly, there have been a lot of goalie woes, which we're going to touch on in a little bit to start the season. A lot of guys that aren't living up to expectations, but we'll touch on that in a bit, and also rules following goalies and what should and shouldn't be allowed. So we'll get into that shortly. But first, we're going to touch on some great performances that we liked, both Bryce and myself, for the first week. So who do you got as your forward of the week?
My forward of the week, and I was saying to you, this is just based on pure storyline. A lot of people had not only the whole Calgary Flames organization in question marks, like this team's going to be awful. Who's getting the Kadri at the deadline? Like, really just, and now they're 3-0. They're the best team in Alberta, with the Oilers being 0-3. But Johnny Hughes has 5 points now, 3 goals, 2 apples. I think 2 points came on the power play, but against the Flyers. But I mean, you're producing there. That builds confidence, and hopefully it'll be a roller coaster going upwards, and we'll continue to go that way because I'd love to see. It's not only is it good for the game for him to get back into that Florida Panther form, but I mean, it's good for Calgary fans. They got beaten down in the offseason. They were like getting told that their team was gonna stink. Like, this could be a bright spot, going to the new arena and just, easing back people on one of the worst trades in the recent NHL seasons. But yeah, he's my player of the week. You?
Yeah, my unbiased player of the week um from my Chicago Blackhawks. I didn't actually go with the young rookie, not rookie, second year phenom Connor Bedard. I went with Teuvo Teravainen. He's got 3 points, or sorry, 3 goals, 2 assists, 5 points in 3 games for the Hawks thus far. The Huberdeau and Teravainen actually face off tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern, when the Hawks are up in Calgary for their last game of the 4 game road trip that they started the season on. But yeah, I've really enjoyed Teravainen back in a Hawks sweater this year. First goal of the season was nice. It was beauty backhand from, sort of the low slot off a pass from Bedard from the wing. And then he followed it up with a 4 point performance against the less than ideal Edmonton Oilers as of right now. Um, he's looked like him and Bedard have sort of formed some chemistry, as well as Foligno on that line. Um, he scored 2 power play goals. One was lucky, which, whatever.
Take
Um,
it.
yeah, we'll take him. They don't ask how. So yeah, I really liked how he's looked. He's played PK as well. He showed in Carolina that he can sort of take on a little bit of a defensive role, but they don't have him out late in the game because they have a lot more guys that can do that. But I've liked him on the PK and the power play. Also, even strength, adding some veteran presence to that line and some skill as well.
Yeah.
Um, Next, we're going to go to the back end. I'll start on the back end. I'm going up to Alberta as well. Same team, Calgary Flames. They're on a heater right now, undefeated. I'm going Rasmus Anderson. He also has 2 goals, 3 assists for 5 in 3 games. They're 3-0. He's on a bargoon of a contract, as Biz would say. He's making 4.25 for the next 2 years. Um, he's on pace for like 139 points, but that's not going to hold up. So, I mean, if his career high is 50, in the year that the Flames were like the best ever, and like Goudreau had like 117 and Kachuk had like 109 or whatever. So maybe if he can get to that 50 point mark and um, maybe even eclipse that, then maybe some teams are looking to trade for him at this deadline. Um, as well as he has some term left, so that might be a little intriguing for some guys. And if you're Calgary, I mean, if you don't see him in the long-term plans, I mean,
why not trade him now when his value's high at the deadline? So that's my pick as well for the D-man of the week for me. Who do you got?
Yeah, I'm going all the way to the other coast. I'm gonna go with a young defenseman, sophomore campaign. Looked really good last year. He has 3 points so far. And especially 3 points in few tough games for the Boston Bruins. Mason Lohrei had the apple to Pastrnak and OT to beat the Kings. Yeah, I mean, not only do the points speak for themselves, I think he averages 20 minutes too, which is for the back end with the Zadorov and Lindholm and McAvoy, like that's pretty good to be chucking 20 minutes a night still. And just his poise, like his composure is like on another level to like the Dobsons and the OCs. He's
Oh,
been awful, but
yeah, Jesus.
yeah, no, I mean, besides those first two rough games for the Bruins, I mean, he's been playing really well, and his points and his play shows for it. But
Yeah,
no, all you.
just interesting about like the Bruins. I mean, they're 2-1, but I mean, they don't look good at all. Like they just don't look energized. They don't look
They don't look
um
clinical.
yeah, they just look like they're sort of getting away with a few, which, Marchand hasn't been himself, but hey, he had 3 surgeries, right? Like he'll find his form. Pastrnak, you probably want a little bit more out of him, but hey, what are you gonna do? Bright spot, Lindholm's been great. Little Boston Bruins side tangent there, but just thought those thoughts should be shared. Who do you got in the pipes for this week? Who do you like?
Yeah, I mean, we were saying it. The goalies. I mean, it's the first weekend, so a lot of teams have been playing their backup just to see what happens. But yeah, the goalies haven't been a bright spot in the NHL thus far. Um, I mean, I'm going with the Four Nations starter, Jordan Binnington. The Blues have had, two or is it three comeback wins? Like, or is it two confirmed?
It's two. Yeah, two.
Yeah. And
Kraken
they
and
yeah, they lost
Sharks.
to Vegas. They lost to
Kraken
Vegas.
and San Jose.
Yeah. But I mean, he's been standing on their head for him in both games. Like that Kraken game, he only let up goals in the first period and held a shutout for the rest. He's got a 9.0 save percentage with a 2.98 goals against. So that's pretty good stats right there. And yeah, Bennington, he's just one of the most solid goalies in the league that probably gets overlooked at because of his on ice antics and his emotion, I guess you could say. But yeah, he's my goalie of the week. Who's your Honda goalie of the week?
Yeah, Honda starting goalies. I mean, that's a throwback to NBC Sports. Bring them back.
Yeah.
ESPN's terrible. Yeah, I'm going with a little bit more of a calm, demeanored guy. Same division. We're going down here to Dallas. I'm taking the Otter, Jake Ottinger. He's played 2 games. He's 2-0, one shutout. Took down the Islanders in a shutout. He's got a 1.51 goals against average and a .957. So basically a 96 save percentage, which, I mean, those numbers are insane. I know it's been 2 games, but nonetheless impressive. He's also an RFA, I believe, after the end of this year, so he's sort of playing for something. Um, and yeah, he's been good. He's looked calm. I think to a lot of people's standards and mine as well, I think he sort of had like an average to below average year for his standards last year. Playoffs, he played well. But I would say in the regular season, he sort of hovered around that 907, 910, which, with the Stars and how good they were, they can have that. Doesn't matter. But probably for his standards, he was wanting to get back to like to his par, basically. So yeah, off to a hot start. It's what you like to see in a world where goalies are not off to hot starts. Um, and yeah, so interesting. One thing we're going to highlight as well, milestone. We have a lot of first NHL points and NHL goals this week. First NHL season or first week of the NHL season. Number one overall pick, Macklin Celebrini, scored his first career goal. And he also had his first career assist, first multi-point First game performance by number one overall pick since Austin Matthews when he scored 4 goals
wow.
against the Ottawa Senators. Yep. So yeah, I mean, some were saying it was the unluckiest slash ugliest first goal of all time, but hey, they all count. And then he had a beautiful pass to Toffoli on the power play as well. So I don't know if you watched the game, but what did you think of him on the ice and what he did in his first game?
Yeah, I mean, I think he played well. I saw a clip today actually about he had no clue
Yeah,
that he scored
yeah,
until like they were like in the huddle telling him that he's first in line to go.
yeah,
So I mean, I thought that was pretty cool. But yeah, I mean, it's it's crazy to thinking like this touches, more to home for you than to me, obviously. But the when I watched that or his goal, I couldn't not see Patrick Kane in a Hawks jersey there. Like, there's no
yeah,
way like he wasn't watching 2-minute highlight videos before, like it's but it's yeah, I mean he looked really good. That's a fully pass, a lot of young guys don't have the composure at 18. So just great patience, vision. I mean, they go on to lose, but he played really well. Will Smith, a little quieter night, but he still played really well. William Eklund, really good night. But yeah, I mean, he's injured now, so we got to wait a little bit for him to get back out there. But yeah, no, he looks good, and yeah, I'm excited to keep watching him when he gets back. Yep.
yeah. I'm pretty sure it's a very minor injury, and
Yeah, but still.
I have a little bit of a take that he was injured prior to the start of the season. He was injured in preseason, and I think they allowed him to play in the first game of the year. So I think he was injured when he played, and then they were like, "Okay, you can play your first game, but then we're going to put you on the IR after the game."
I believe it.
Because I don't think they wanted to draw out like the first game of the year. People want to see him play, whatever. So that's my take. I don't know if it's true, but
I know I that sounds very reasonable and truthful to me.
I
I mean,
I think it's way more truthful than a lot of people may realize. Um,
you got to think like
it's
get people back in the SAP Center or whatever that place is called,
yeah,
like
yeah, Sap Center.
tickets, like yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and he was placed on IR, and it was 7 days from the last game, and the game he played was on Thursday. So this upcoming Thursday and 2 days from this recording, they're taking on the Blackhawks for the Chicago Blackhawks home opener. So I'd assume he'd be back for that. Just get the number one pick versus number one pick action early in the year of the last two drafts, and I mean it'd be cool for him to get back early and only miss whatever 1 2 games. But yeah, inspiring effort from him. Sharks looked really good until they blew the lead in the third period. I actually turned the game off and went to bed, and I was like, the Blues are gonna win. Like I turned the TV off. I'm like, the Blues are gonna win. And I woke up in the morning. I was like, I knew they were gonna win. Like it was just like I knew it. But yeah, it was great to see him play. I would have liked to see a little bit more out of Will Smith. Um, I sort of have a joke with my friends, like he was doing cardio out there a little bit, like he wasn't really doing a lot, but he was sort of just out there. But yeah, I'm sure it'll come. Talented players like that don't get held on the schneid for too long. So excited to see what those guys do and a more competent group up in San Jose. So next, we're gonna move on to some foreshadowed goalie disappointment thus far. Um, just terrible goaltending thus far in the NHL season from a majority of the league. Um,
It's a shame.
yeah, goaltending is one thing that like it's so inconsistent at times. Um, you know, it's you know, like Connor Ingram last year. Like people were like, this guy's insane. Like ESPN actually ranked him in the top 100 players. They put out a list of top 100 players. He was 81st. He was like ahead of guys like Robert Thomas. I'm like, guys, like, what are we doing? And
That was
he's
just
like, go ahead.
that was just because he was tied for like second in shutouts, and he had a decent game every six. Like that
Yeah,
guy's like it's stupid, especially ESPN. ESPN doesn't know their left elbow from their right, like or
yeah,
whatever the saying is. They don't
yeah,
know it. Like
yeah. Their hockey takes are ill-willed at times, but yeah, they had guys like in like all-star caliber, like 85, 90 point guys below Connor Ingram. And I was like, whoa, like we got to relax with this. But yeah, he's sort of a little bit of a tamer example. But yeah, out in Denver, the Mile High City, we've had Alexander Georgiev,
Oh,
who started the year. First two games, got pulled both times. He had a 680 save percentage, 680, and a 776 goals against average. I mean, like that's beer league numbers, guys. Like we like let's be honest with ourselves. And the Avs are injury ridden at the moment, and so the last thing they need is bad goaltending. Um, and also, I watched the game against the Islanders last night because big Islander fan. Kellen Carr, like he might have to figure out how to play hockey again because he was not that effective last night. But that's a side note. Um,
he just, sorry to interrupt, but he just came out and he had like a big interview. He was like, "Yeah, I played really stupid and I played really childish. Those were childish mistakes." Those were his like sound bites that came out of
Kale
his
said that.
interview.
Kale said that.
Yeah, today he said it today.
Yeah, you looked like if I was back there on the back end, like whatever. But Alexander Georgiev, probably the most dramatic, like representation of how bad it's been. Um, Another guy,
655, 790 save percentage.
and those are heavily aided by a pretty decent performance, all being he let up 5 goals last night against the Islanders. So, um, just wild. We'll get to Stuart Skinner when we talk about the Oilers in a little bit, but yeah, next combo, just get thoughts on early season goalie interference challenges and taking away penalties. We've seen, or taking away goals, giving penalties, whatever. We've seen a lot of questionable, soft, borderline, whatever adjective you want to use to say it, to start the season. What are your thoughts on what goalie interference should be, when it should be called? Like, should there be a buffer between, hey, I hit his glove 10 seconds ago, but that leaves him more time to make a play and make a save. So what do you think about the goalie interference penalty?
Yeah, I think it's the same with almost every sport, right? Like you look at the NFL, you look, PIs, right? You look at the Premier League, like, fouls in general, penalties over there. I mean, goal interference, it's just going to be so, however Toronto is feeling that day, and it's just going to be, how does I mean, we're going to see this mostly, right? Shots from the point. Like that's when this is most going to come into play. Um, goalies play at the top of the crease now to break the angle. And as long as the players aren't in the crease, it's their ice and the goalies aren't in it. That's like the unwritten sort of like, thinking. But I think it's a weak. I think goal interference is weak in general, unless it's like you could like snap your finger and be like blatant. All right, that's goal interference. Because otherwise, I think the NHL is just protecting goalies. I don't think. I think a lot of the calls that we saw this weekend were weak. I think two of them against Corey Perry were one of the weaker ones. But yeah, I mean, like the buffer zone that you were saying, I'd even knock it down to like 3 seconds. Like, you know, like these guys, like they're gonna embellish it themselves. You know what I mean? Like, how many times when they get the helmet buckle, they just stop the play and whip their helmet off. I think it's more of the NHL is right now is goalie. I don't want to say goalie focus, but like gonna give the goalies the benefit of the doubt. Not saying that's a bad thing, but it's an annoying thing to say the least. But I mean, I don't think this is gonna change. But yeah, I mean, yeah. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's sort of been like very like not black and white. It's been a gray area.
Yeah,
I think there have been calls that have been called back, and I think there have been calls that have not been called back that maybe the calls, if they were reversed, it would be more accepted, which makes it a little weird to say. But yeah, I have an issue a lot of the time, and I have the issue with offsides as well, where it's like if a goalie gets interfered with and then the shot from the point comes 30 seconds later, like that can still be challenged. Like, no. Like if the goalie falls down or like his stick gets hit or whatever, and he can recover and he's square to the shooter, like that's off the table, in my opinion. Same thing with the offsides. Like if it's offsides and it was questionably offsides, 2 minutes, and they've had it in the zone for those 2 minutes or whatever, just dishing it around, and they finally score. That should not be able to be reviewed, in my opinion. Maybe I'm just in favor of more offense, but hey, who doesn't want to see goals scored? Um, but yeah, I think that if the goalies are above the blue paint, they're privy to that ice just as much as the players are. Um, we haven't really seen one where it's like the players like behind gets knocked into the head of the goalie, right? And
Yeah.
like the goalie physically can't make the save. Like if you physically like the goalie physically can't make the save, it's goalie interference. But if he has enough time, after he gets hit to recover, I don't think it should be called back for goalie interference. Um, so yeah, I think there needs to be a little bit more of a like clear cut view. And we're not bashing on the refs. Like the refs actually do a great job in the NFL compared to these other sports. Like basketball and like football, like I think they're close to getting ruined by the referees. Like the NHL actually has great refereeing and they do a good job. And I mean, I guess you don't want to see it, but there's a precedent for the playoffs as opposed to the regular season, which that going into the playoffs. But they do a great job. It's tough. They can make mistakes. Toronto can make mistakes when they call stuff. But ultimately, when the game's over and they come out and they say they made a mistake, nobody cares. The game's over, right? So yeah, I saw someone post about like the technical definition of goalie interference, and I was like, that's a
Not
little.
they're never gonna follow that.
Yeah, like that. It was like so perimeter based. Like it was like the player, even if they don't touch the goalie, can't be in the blue paint. I'm like, really? Like
Well, that was the whole thing with Brett Hull
Brett
versus
Hall,
Hasek.
yeah, Brett Hall, yeah. I mean, the Stanley Cup was on the line for that game as well. So, a little different than Corey Perry getting a goal called back in the third game of the season, but or multiple goals, and there's also one in the crazy game yesterday that we'll touch on, but Jim Hiller from the Kings, he challenged the goal interference, and as soon as he challenged and they showed the replay, I'm like, there's no way they're winning this, but there's only a slight chance because of how it's been called in the first few games of this season. Um, and ultimately, it wasn't goal interference, and he was livid on the bench. But yeah, it was sort of like I sort of thought it was going to get called back because of how it's been called in the recent games. Um, but also, I was like, I wouldn't call that goal interference if I was in Toronto. So I think they made the right call on that one. But yeah, it's an interesting discussion to talk about. A lot of different opinions, and yeah,
I think the biggest thing too is, I mean, I think like you said, like this is so gray in a black and white area. I don't think this is ever going to be resolved or there's going to be a clear cut, look away. But if it's, I feel like you alluded to the refs in the NHL doing so well. If it's not called on the ice, you know what I mean? Like, you know, there's that factor, especially because it needs to be conclusive evidence to overturn. But when they do go to the booth and check, when the other three referees are huddling up, the linesmen who aren't allowed to say anything really can be like, yeah, like you missed it, Chuck. Like he was clearly interfered with, or like, no, there's no way, like, you know what I mean? So I don't think that this issue is ever going to get resolved, but yeah, I wasn't surprised that the Kings didn't get it. Um, yeah, I mean, I think it's it's also a precedent, right? Like you said, like those are video guys that each team has that's like that follow the pattern and is like, all right, well, this has been called so far. Let's tell whoever the coach is, like, throw the flag, like so.
Yeah. Also, just another side note on challenging and video reviews that's unrelated to goalie interference, but I wish they would like use frequently and bring back the frequency of when they used to use like there's not enough evidence to overturn the call. Like I feel like they never use that anymore. And I'm like, I feel like it's evident in a lot of places. Like I feel like they almost force themselves to make like a definitive goal, no goal. Like if it's called on the ice as no goal, and like you really can't like there's no true distinction. Like say it was called a goal or called no goal, no definitive evidence to overturn the call. Call stands. Like I wish they would bring that back because or use it more frequently because I think it's like a fair way of assessing a potential challenge or whatnot. Um so yeah, maybe not with the um like the reward of getting the penalty anymore and the power play. But I would like to see them bring that back. So
Yeah.
yeah. Um Utah, great opening week. They finally get their first loss, and it was obvious that they were going to lose because they played a silly cider goalie. They played a righty goalie. Of course, they lost their first game with a righty goalie in the net. Um, but yeah, Dylan Gunther off to a hot start. He was NHL's first star of the week. He had 5 goals, 3 games. Looks like he's on pace to score well over 30 goals. Contracts looking good for Bill Armstrong and them. Just a really fun storyline for the first week of the season. A lot of guys have been impressive. Hayton, Schmaltz, Keller, guys on the back end as well. So cool to see them get big wins. I mean, I I sort of knew that they were going to win the first couple and then
Yeah.
lose eventually, but they look good. They look exciting. The building was rocking. They sold $120,000 of beer at the Delta Center for the season opener, which is like the most ever in that arena. And people were sort of getting on them because people think it's Mormon country and like nobody drinks, but um, it's being infiltrated with a lot of people who want to get away from high state tax, and it's a beautiful place to live. So, yeah, Ryan Smith and his wife have done a great job at turning this thing around in 5 months and getting a great product in the ice. So, exciting for time for Utah fans. Sort of sucks for Arizona people that are like, hey, you guys just started to be fun and win and entertaining after you leave. But yeah, it was cool to watch them the first week of the season and for the next few months here. So good on them. We're gonna go up to some challenges in Alberta. You want to get us started on what you think about the early season Oiler woes?
Yeah, I mean, Stuart Skinner, Calvin,
Thanks.
yeah, Calvin Pickard, like, I was
Thanks.
I was never a fan of either of the goalies. I'm surprised Calvin Pickard made it out of Avalanche's system when he got drafted.
Like
Stuart,
2015.
yeah, I mean, Stuart Skinner, what is he, a free agent this summer or next summer?
I don't even know.
It doesn't matter. He stinks.
He'll
But
sign in the Swiss league when he's a free agent. That's how bad he is.
yeah, who was that last goalie? Like 19. Like what was his name?
Oh, Mikko Koskinen.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's gonna
yeah.
be the next Mikko
Mikko
Koskinen.
Koskinen, yeah. He's gonna go meet Kublik in the SHL or whatever.
Be
Um
goalie partners with Casimir Kaskasuo.
yeah. Um no, but yeah, I mean this team's been awful. I mean, well they haven't been awful, but they've also had like rough luck. Like they had 2 goals called back versus the Hawks. Like Victor Arvidsson went
We
offside.
don't have to talk about that because it's the Hawks.
Yeah, yeah, no, it was. I mean, Hawks clearly outplayed them.
We look he
Um,
did though.
no,
Not gonna
honestly, Soderblom actually played pretty well.
That was against the Winnipeg, but yeah, he
Oh,
did
that was
play well.
okay. All right.
But
But
yes, he played well. Mrazek played unreal.
yeah, no, but I mean, Edmonton's it's just confusing,
Yeah.
like it's just confusing. I mean, on paper they should be able to not have an 0-3 start, right? I mean, the points haven't really, been there, but they're gonna come, obviously. But Draisaitl, McDavid, Hyman, Nuge, Jeff Skinner, Victor Arvidsson, like, Darnell Nurse, Bouchard, as much as we all hate him. Well, hate's a strong word, but, just
I
like,
hate him. I can say I hate him.
yeah, but I mean, yeah, I mean, the team's just confusing. I think it's just a lack of jump. I don't want to say a lack of jump, but it's like, there's just not, like, I feel like they just don't come out to play, and yet they do. If that doesn't make sense at all. But, like, it kind of just looks like another day at the office for him. Like, there's no, you know what I'm trying to say? Like there's no pizzazz, I guess, in the team right now, and I don't know if that's like another U2 tour that, like they're gonna have to take a page out of Nashville and start, like, lighting people up, or that's just having a players meeting the way Lindor did with the Mets, in June. But yeah, I think this team just has no spark right now, and they need to bring in something or do something to get a spark to help turn it around. But um, I think now that they're 0-3 and the Canadian market and everyone like us is on to them, I think they're going to be fine. They might not be perfect, but I think they're going to turn the ship around a little bit. Like, we'll see a little bit, but yeah, I mean, surprising start, but can't be worse than last year so far. So
Yeah, agreed. I mean, I know I released a little video sort of spiel on it today, but I wasn't worried about the offense. Goalie, I'm always worried about with them. I think, you know, hey, why not go get a Huso, right? Like
try it.
what's the worst that could happen? You just put them on waivers again, like whatever. Um, I'm not sure. Like if I was Joe Sack, I may have done that for the Avalanche too. Like whatever. But yeah, my issue with them is the minuses and the defensive ratings of their stars. McDavid and Draisaitl are -4 and 5 respectively. Um, Points, whatever, they'll come. Power play will heat up, whatever. But yeah, it's and also when they've been on the ice together on a line, they're like -3 or something. I think they were -2 on the ice together against the Blackhawks. And that used to be like guaranteed offense, right? So just something to look at. Also, their second D pair of Darnell Nurse and Ty Emberson has been like literally garbage. Um, their expected goals for and goals against, or Darnell Nurse's expected goals for on offense is -1.2, and on defense, his goals against is like negative like 1 1/5 from where it's supposed to be. It's in like the bottom 25th percentile in the league, which terrible. And then Emerson's even worse. He's in the bottom, like below the 25th percentile that Nurse is in. Like he's in like the bottom like 10%. So those guys have been absolute liabilities on the back end, to put it lightly. Something's needing to change. They probably miss Broberg being able to skate the puck out of the zone, and get away from it like he did in the playoffs. But yeah, those are my like basic concerns with them right now. Um,
Can
and
I add, can I add some stats to your concerns?
yeah, I'd love
Uh,
stats. Big stat
um,
guy.
so they're tied for fifth in penalty minutes per game, averaging 6. Their shooting is average at 3.2 per period, 32nd in the league.
Three
They're
shots a period?
That's their average right now, 32nd in the league.
Oh my God, 3 shots a period? That's terrible.
And then offense, 31st in the league with 1 goal per game averaging.
Does it say what their PK is?
Did I not say PK? 44%, 32nd in the league.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
The
there you
Hawks
go.
went 3 for 3 on the power play the other night. So
And
yeah.
Stu Skin confirmed tonight versus Samuel Aronson and the Flyers.
Okay, so maybe I don't want to say a lesser opponent, but maybe,
Definitely a team that they can turn the ship around.
yeah, maybe a game that they can sort of get their mojo back. But yeah, those stats are eye-opening. I mean, defense and goaltending have really always been the question, but I think it's sort of been at the forefront at the start of this season. Um, I've seen some funny videos. It's like McDavid's high school hockey coach watching like the Oilers' demise so he can get hired when Knobloch gets fired. It's pretty funny, but that's not going to happen. I don't think he was able to turn the ship around. Um, but yeah, so um, I think it's time to shift our focus to one of the more could go down as like one of the most exciting games of the year. From the minute the puck dropped in the second period, it was just goals galore. Ottawa, LA matinee yesterday on Columbus Day, also Canadian Thanksgiving. Happy to all our Canadian viewers. I know it's a small percent, but happy Thanksgiving to all of you guys. Um, yeah, the game finished 8-7 in overtime. Ottawa didn't take their first lead until they went up 7-6 with like 11 minutes left. Josh Norris got the OT winner. He actually scored the last two goals for the Ottawa Senators, so good for him to get on the score sheet. Um, some highlights as well. LaFerriere, 2 goals for the Kings. Fiala, 2 power play goals for the Kings. Looked good, but ultimately, 7 goals you think would be enough to win a game, but obviously not. Yeah, it was just exciting. A lot of goals, a lot of penalties, which you don't really like, but a lot of power play goals. I'm pretty sure the Senators came back from down two twice, 3-1 and 4-2. So yeah, valiant effort by the Senators. Good for them to get a win on home ice against a very good road team in the LA Kings. You'd like to see maybe a little bit better performance from Darcy Kemper. But yeah, exciting game, a good one to watch, and yeah, those games yesterday sort of wrapped up the first week of the season, and we have another week starting thus far. So, you want to highlight a game that you like tonight and keep an eye on?
Yeah. I'm interested in the. There's a few good games tonight, but I think my most interested game um is gonna be the Nashville Kraken game. Not because I mean those are two like grinded out teams with both like respected skill on their first two lines and power plays. But I'm more interested to see we haven't really seen the success in the acquisitions brought. Brady Shea's actually played really well off the puck. But Stamkos and Marshall. Sure, Marshall has a few points to his name now, but I mean, I feel like bringing in a guy like Stamkos, I'm expecting, more headlines and more power play one timers, but I mean, it hasn't really been there yet. Roman Yossi, slower start, but yeah, I think this is an interesting game tonight. It's Joey Decord versus Saros. Um, yeah, they're and Predators are also 0-2 and Kraken are 1-2. So two teams that are below 500 and eager to get another win in the books, or for the Predators, their first win of the season. So yeah, this is a game that I'm gonna keep my eye on. Yeah, just gonna be entertaining and maybe some highlights from star level players.
You
You?
got a prediction?
I would like to go Smashville 5-4 in overtime.
All right, that's good. I'm always going to pump the tires of my Blackhawks. They got a big one, like I said, in Calgary, but I'm going to keep an eye on the early window. Canucks Lightning.
Arthur
Um,
Sheloves.
no, it's Lankinen tonight. Lankinen versus
Oh,
Vasilevsky. Um,
I have Sheloves confirmed and
oh,
Vasilevsky confirmed.
whoa.
Yeah.
Confirming sources. All right. We'll go
Yeah.
with the confirmed Shelov source. Shelov's versus Vazzy. The Canucks have blown leads in both of their games that they've played. Overtime losses in both, so hey, at least they're getting some points. But yeah, the Lightning have only played one game. A lot of it was due to the hurricane tragedy that happened down in South Florida. They got one canceled, or I guess like postponed, and it'll be played at another time versus the Hurricane. But yeah, interesting game for me to look at. I like the Canucks a lot. I like their players. Maybe Jake Gensel can sort of get at the forefront of some offense tonight. I know he has 2 points, but I believe they were both assists on empty netters. So, like I could have had those points. So yeah, I really like that game. Looking to see if the Canucks can truly potentially survive without Thatcher Demko, or at least some wondering appearing or not one wondering wonderful appearances from a rookie goaltender that really isn't that proven if you think about it. So
Yeah.
I like him, still not that proven. But yeah, I'm gonna go Canucks Lightning. I'm gonna go Lightning on home ice 3-2, no overtime.
Nice. Nice.
So yeah, that's gonna be my game of the night. So you got anything else you want to add?
Um, not not really. You? I
No?
mean,
Maybe shout out to Callum Ritchie, who scored his first career goal against the New
oh
York
yeah.
Islanders last night, of course. Great play by Josh Manson coming down the boards, found him back door. Um, Defensive breakdown for the Islanders deep pair, but we won't get into that. But yeah, congratulations to him and all the other rookies that started off their careers hot this week. Um, Thanks everybody for listening. Episode 6. We'll be back with you with short form content as well this week and later this week and early into next week. We'll be on the recording again. So hope you guys enjoyed the next slate of week of NHL games, and good talking to you all.
Thank you.
Have a good one.